This is a review of the Western Mountaineering Slinglite Underquilt that I usually have packed up in this pretty neat Sea to Summit compression bag, and this is about as small as I usually compress the bag. I have prepped my Bushman Vagabond hammock, which has a built-in mosquito net and is pretty ideal for using with this underquilt. I find that whenever I want to use the underquilt, this is the hammock that I am reaching for. And you will see the reasons for that pretty soon. Let's take the underquilt out of the bag and you will see how it looks. This is how you attach the underquilt to the hammock. And you need a hammock where this attachment actually works, or you need to make it work in some way. In the case of the Bushman Vagabond, this is super easy and convenient because we have this carabiner and the underquilt basically just snaps in to this part of the carabiner. And that's how easy the attachment is. All the way to the other side and do the same type of attachment, clicking it into the carabiner like that. The way that looks now is that the Slinglite is kind of pushing the hammock up a little bit, just because it has those elastic straps. And you'll need to adjust the elastic straps to be able to cover the part of the hammock that you want to cover. So sometimes I will just do a little bit of adjustment like that. But one of the reasons I find the Bushman Vagabond to be so perfect with this hammock is the size compatibility. The Bushman Vagabond is a little bit shorter, and this means that it is perfect to just snap this one in place, and it's pretty much where it needs to be immediately. So how about that using it the other way around? Let's try and see if this works. So first, taking the hammock out, then kind of wrapping it the other way around into the hammock like so. And there we have it. And we are back to the regular color of the Western Mountaineering Slinglite Underquilt. When using it with the Vagabond hammock, it wraps on the outside like this, and you have the mosquito net that comes in on the inside of the quilt. This works in a very good way, and you don't really need to use these fastening things. This underquilt I find stays in place pretty well, but when you want to use it together with the fasteners to attach it to the hammock, that doesn't really work together with this mosquito net. But if you have a different type of setup, you have these fasteners that can help you with the attachment and make the underquilt stay in place. So how about the heat and comfort of this underquilt, which is probably the most important part? I have used it quite many nights now over the last few years, and I have never really experienced any problem with it, either with the temperature or with the comfort. I think it is a very good quality and very versatile product, and I think that's pretty good since I paid a little bit over 400 euros for it. Now on Western Mountaineering's website in the US, this sells for $350, but I think that's about how cheap you can get the product. So it is an expensive product. It weighs 430 grams and it packs down very small since it's this very high fill power down in it. And you can, if you want to, redistribute where you have most of the down. you have these channels, as you can see. But this is not something I have been able to do. The lowest temperature I've used the underquilt in so far has been 10 degrees Celsius. And you definitely need an underquilt or a mattress in the hammock for that type of temperature. But this underquilt is graded to go down to around about -7 degrees. That is maybe not something that I will do for the most part. I prefer to camp with hammock in summer and sometimes in spring and early autumn. This is my second choice of hammock. It is the Cocoon Ultralight, also with built-in mosquito net. This is a lovely hammock. It has a little bit of a longer profile, which makes it very easy to sleep in a diagonal shape. However, I find, even though we have the carabiners for mounting the underquilt very easily, that the extra length of this hammock makes it a little bit harder to get the underquilt well in place and therefore be able to get a comfortable night's sleep with it. Quite a bit of the hammock is sticking out on each side of the underquilt. This was not the case when we were testing the Bushman Vagabond. It was only a part on one side sticking out, and even if you adjust the position of this, the underquilt is simply not long enough to cover all of the Cocoon Ultralight. You put yourself in place. It's a little bit more challenging to get comfortable. Now let's see. It's been a little while since I used it, and here, like now, it is working fairly well, but as this mosquito net is zipped in all the way around and you have to open the zippers to be able to get your hand out, it becomes really challenging if you want to make an adjustment to the underquilt. So you kind of need to have these zippers available, and then be sure to open the zippers and then take your hand out to be able to make an adjustment. But then you might want to make an adjustment in another place, and you do need to adjust it. This is my Ticket to the Moon hammock, and it comes with this type of hook instead of that carabiner that we saw with the previous hammock. Attaching this underquilt to this hook is actually not that simple, and what I find that you do is that you attach it to the actual rope itself, but the rope is kind of wide, and once you have gotten it onto the rope, it's quite challenging to get it off of there. So even if the underquilt works very well with this type of Ticket to the Moon hammock, despite this also having a different type of mosquito net, and it becomes a little bit more fiddly when you want to use it with that type of mosquito net that wraps all the way around the hammock. It works, but it is a bit more cumbersome compared to using it with my main hammock. So if you have a hammock that connects to your straps with carabiners and that has a mosquito net that doesn't zip onto the hammock itself, I think using this type of underquilt is pretty much perfect. It is the most comfortable hammock sleep that I have been able to get, and I truly recommend it. If you are using another type of attachment to your straps, this might be a little bit more complicated to attach and detach. And if you're using a Cocoon Ultralight or a similar hammock where the mosquito net zips into the hammock, it will be a bit hard to adjust the underquilt during nighttime. That will, however, go for any underquilt that you will use. It's just that this one happens to be a little bit on the shorter side, which means adjustments might have to happen a bit more frequently. If you have any questions about the Western Mountaineering Slinglite, you are most welcome to ask them in the comment section below. I beg your pardon for the little bit of darkness. I'm not used to this. Sweden has been so incredibly light, even at this time around 10 in the evening. So now we are approaching a darker season and I will have to adjust to this. I will see you in a future video. Have a very nice day.